We all like to think we're good communicators, and I think until I started learning motivational interviewing, I kind of thought I was. And then what motivational interviewing highlighted to me was how I could really improve this skill, and how improving my communication skills would actually reap huge benefits for my clients. Thomas Gordon, when he talks about the skill of communicating, when we're talking to each other, we think in our heads about something we want to say, and then we frame that into a sentence. We put it into words. We then speak those words, and the person that we're speaking to hears the words, and then their brain decodes those words and adds its own meaning. And that's generally where we stop when we're having a kind of chat. The problem with that is the person who was communicating had one meaning, and it's very possible that because of your own values, beliefs and everything else, when you've decoded the words, you've put your own meaning on it. And so actually what we've got is miscommunication, because we never check back, so we never kind of complete the communication loop. And so one of the things you learn in motivational interviewing is the use of reflections. And reflections are really giving back to the person you're speaking to the meaning that you've understood. Now, a simple reflection is just a rewording of what you've heard, and it can almost sound like you're parroting the person you're speaking to. But as you become more skilled and learn kind of different types of reflections, then this can be quite powerful to an individual, because they're hearing their own language back and thinking, oh, did I really mean that? And so you learn these different types of reflections, and these help improve understanding. And they certainly give, if you're working with a client, they give the client the impression that you are really kind of hanging on their every word and fully understanding their meaning. And maybe they're not used to kind of getting that. So reflections are really powerful, and they really complete the communication loop. And it's quite interesting that obviously I get experienced trainers doing the workshop as well as people that are quite new to it. And suddenly I'm saying to them, you've got to relearn the way you communicate. And this can be really difficult. For the first couple of weeks, some people really struggle with this, because after all, you've been doing this since you were 1-2 years old, and now suddenly I'm saying to you, you need to change the way you go about this. The beauty of it is, as people get on top of it and start to learn these skills, they really start to see the value in terms of how their clients kind of recognize this and the results they get with their clients. The other really important skill to learn as part of motivational interviewing is active listening. And it's that art of hanging on your client's every word. Generally, when we have a conversation, we just kind of pick up the gist and go with it. And that's fine for most conversations. But when you're working with a client and when you're trying to achieve a behavior change and help them achieve that change, maybe moving them from ambivalence where they're not quite sure to a point where they are definitely sure they want to do it, then active listening becomes really, really important. And you're kind of hanging on every word, because what you're doing is you're listening to the language that the client's using, and then you're selectively reflecting back the language that's going to help them make change. And in motivational interviewing terms, we call this change talk. So you're listening for that change talk, amplifying it, as well as using different techniques to get more change talk from the client. Now, you'll know when you're doing this properly, because you are totally engrossed in the moment and you tend not to notice anything else going on around you. And that's really what active listening is all about. You're giving 100% of your time and attention to your client. And as trainers, you should always be doing that. But how many of you, hand on heart, can say, oh yeah, I 100% concentrate on my clients when I'm working with them? I'm sure from time to time thoughts drift in about, oh, my next client's due in at that, and I'm going to do this, and for tea tonight I might have that, and oh, I like that tune, and things like this. These thoughts drift in and out. But if you're 100% focused on the client, then they're tuned out, for want of a better word. And I think the best way I can sum up this active listening in terms of its benefit for the client is Professor William Miller, who's one of the kind of founding fathers of motivational interviewing. He has a favourite saying, and that is basically, sometimes all people need is a good listening to. So moving forward with your clients, make sure you're giving them a good listening to, because they will really appreciate it and they will really notice it as well. So you can learn this skill, and you can learn the other skills that I've already discussed, the reflections. I teach this as part of the behaviour change and motivational interviewing course. It has a profound effect on your clients. It certainly aids client retention, and it also helps client recruitment. So hopefully when you've kind of listened to this and maybe looked at the website, you'll come on one of my workshops and I get to work with you and work on your communication skills. Bye for now.